Namo Aditava. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The fifth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I vow to cultivate good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will ingest only items that preserve peace, well-being, and joy in my body, in my consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family and society. I'm determined not to use alcohol or any other items that contain toxins, such as certain TV programs, magazines, books, films, and conversations. I'm aware that to damage my body or my consciousness with these poisons is to betray my ancestors, my parents, my society, and future generations. I will work to transform violence, fear, anger, and confusion in myself and in society by practicing a diet for myself and for society. I understand that a proper diet is crucial for self-transformation and the transformation of society. For our Dharma lessons, we're reading Ajahn Munindo's book, Unexpected Freedom. Today we're continuing a chapter on truly comfortable with a section on the place of ritual. The ritual practices that we're encouraged to cultivate are also skillful ways of finding comfort in practice. Dedicating punya, or merit, is something that one can do, particularly at funerals and such sad occasions, when we might feel helpless in the face of our suffering. The people who came today, there was nothing they could do to bring back their son, their brother, their friend who had passed away. But to be able to do something wholesome, to generate some goodness, is comforting. A traditional Buddhist way of generating goodness is to come to the monastery, a place dedicated to reality, and to make a gesture of support to the place and to the monks and nuns who live there. And then one can dedicate the goodness or merit of this act to the person who has died. This idea may not feel immediately appealing or comforting because it's not something that we are familiar with, but when one does such things as skillful means, there can nevertheless be a surprising sense of comfort when the heart exercises its ability to generate goodness. We can do good deeds by way of body, speech, and mind, through acts of kindness, through restraint, through generosity, through cultivating honesty and impeccability. These wholesome actions generate a storehouse of goodness that we can then dedicate. The last act I perform each day before going to bed is to dedicate to all beings whatever goodness I might have created by way of body, speech, and mind. I spend some time going through all beings, from my teachers, parents, companions, friends, rulers, enemies. Sometimes it can take a while, and when I am tired and want to get to bed, I might cut it a bit shorter. But I rarely, if ever, miss out the practice. It is very important to me. There are also meditations on loving kindness and compassion. These clear, concrete practices generate a tangible sense of comfort that strengthens us inwardly. We do need to know that we have things we can do to generate such inner well-being. It is not the case that we are always ready to turn around and ask ourselves the deepest questions regarding the causes of suffering. Chanting is another profoundly comforting thing to do. In times of great despair or grief, we can still chant. When I knew my father was in hospital, having had a series of strokes, I felt painfully helpless in being unable to offer any meaningful support at a time when I really wanted to. It was made worse in finding that there was nothing I could do to settle my mind in meditation. However, chanting did help. On that occasion, I felt very grateful that I had been encouraged to learn to recite some of the suttas. Even though I wasn't seeing reality, I could recite these verses about reality, about truth. The act of recitation was a source of real comfort. The Buddha taught that we need to exercise discernment in choosing the appropriate time and place before going deeper into the true causes of suffering. If someone is hungry, for instance, you should feed them before teaching them Dharma. He instructed the monks that they shouldn't teach people with empty bellies, that the cause of their suffering was their ignorance of the Four Noble Truths. The decent thing to do, of course, was to feed them first. If we maintain a clear awareness of what is going on in each and every situation, with the right motivation in our heart, we will intuitively know what the appropriate way to behave is. Appropriate action follows from seeing the correct context of things and then acting accordingly. Although the Buddha's teaching encourages us to challenge ourselves to inquire into how we are creating our own suffering, this sometimes arduous work can only be undertaken in the context of inner well-being. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Namo Adida Pha. Thanks so much for joining me today.